all. Amelia Airharts here. I'm Megan. This is Carrie.
Hi.
We're here today at Stone Soup Studios in Maumee with Eric Sills.
Hi, everybody.
Eric, can you tell us a little bit about your experience here at Stone Soup Studios?
Working with you guys? Or in general?
In general.
In general?
Like your past.
Okay, I took recording techniques at Bowling Green State University in the 80s. It was all on 1-inch analog tape. And a couple of years ago, my son and I started the studio in the basement of our house. And we started to get some business. So this building came up for sale and had the high ceiling and the acoustic environment that we wanted. So we bought it, and that's how we got started.
Okay, and I understand that there's a story behind the name. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
When we first started the studio, I kept going to my wife saying, you know, this would be great if we only had one more microphone or one more interface or one more whatever. And so she named it. She said, you should call it Stone Soup Recording Studios. If you're not familiar with that analogy, I encourage you to go read the children's story called Stone Soup, and then it'll all make sense. But my wife named it, basically, is where that came from.
All right.
Man. I don't know if you people watching this know this, but Megan and I did our album here. And Eric recorded it, produced it, engineered it, all that stuff. We had a great experience here. Can you explain to these people watching a bit about the process that went into that?
To me, recording an album of this sort is a 4-step process: tracking, editing, mixing, and then mastering. Tracking was a blast. You guys had great session players. Scott Hafferkamp. If anybody hasn't heard the album, buy like 50 copies. And then every song is a standout. That's why I wanted to work with these guys. They're great songwriters. And the session players they had were great. Scott Hafferkamp, the drummer, just exceptional player. Mm-hmm. Check out the song Stride Right. If you want to hear a really good session player at the top of his game, he just nailed that. And he nailed that to a click. There was no drum editing, so that'll give you an idea how good he really is. Eric, the bass player,
Taylor.
Eric Taylor played bass on all the tunes except 2 of them. He's a great player. He can slap, walk, funk, rock, jazz, anything. He's a great player. And then Rachel Coates played on a couple of tunes. Great feel. She played really well. Keyboard players, everybody, backup singers. Trez sang on a couple of tunes. Yeah. Everybody was great to work with for tracking. Editing, there wasn't a whole lot of editing because everybody was a great player. Carrie is one of my top rhythm guitar players, which is, people don't give rhythm guitar playing the respect it deserves, but if you need somebody who can play rhythm guitar and do the same part multiple times in a row for doubling or tripling and not feel the need to, go Zach Wild on everything, she's great at that. Her rhythm playing was exceptional. Of course, Megan, very schooled player. Her solos were great. It was a fun project. Everybody played great. Minimum of editing, and the mixing process was fun. Travis and I were here till 3 a.m. a lot. We didn't realize what time it was because it was fun mixing these tunes. They're catchy pop tunes. Everyone has a specific influence that you can tell who it is, and it was fun. Now, as far as mastering goes, we had the great mastering engineer from New York. Emily Lazar, duh. She's phenomenal, Grammy winner, mastered Foo Fighters, a bunch of really top grade label acts, and we were fortunate enough to be able to get her to master the project. And boy, that's a great finishing touch for a great album.
All right. One more question. It's like I've got my favorite guitar. I've got certain guitar picks I use. I've got a Lucky guitar pedal. It's blue, it's sparkly. I know I'm always going to sound good if I've got my Lucky pedal with me. Do you have any piece of equipment here that works like that for you? Like if a project just isn't going the way you think it's going to, you can just pull out this equipment, rely on it. It's like your favorite.
That's a great question. I instead of going with a whole bunch of disparate pieces, I definitely have fewer pieces that I'm really happy with. We're one of the only studios around that has a Bricasti M7 reverb, which I didn't have when I mixed your album, which I wish I had. I would have done some things differently maybe, but the main things, I'm a microphone junkie. I love ribbon mics. We used a ribbon mic on both of you guys' amplifiers for pretty much everything, a Royer R101, and I like having custom made mics that nobody else has. I got a couple of stereo mics we use for overheads, for piano miking, stuff like that, that were made by JJ Audio in Connecticut. ribbon mics and custom mics. So those are like the things I really love to collect are microphones. So outboard pieces, mixed all your guys' tunes were mixed with a lot of outboard gear. There were some plugins, of course, but it's a hybrid setup. So my outboard compressors, reverb, and microphones, all that stuff, put it together with great players like you guys. You can't help but get a good project.
All right, and just so people know, you guys, from what I understand, you can correct me if I'm wrong, you do projects where you record in the studio, but then you also record out live remotely at venues too.
There's a guy I work with a lot, Travis Geiman. He has his own studio also called Bigfoot Studios, Barefoot Studios, Barefoot.
No.
Bigfoot Studios.
Bigfoot.
He's behind the camera, and I'm just making fun of him. I know the name of his place. He's a great engineer too. He and I trade some work back and forth sometimes, but both of us have a mobile rig. We have laptops, and we can go out on site, and between our mics and our interfaces, that we can do a really good job recording anybody live in whatever environment they want to be recorded. And Travis just recorded you guys last weekend, so at Tequila in Sylvania. So, yep, we can do live work on location too.
All right, I think we got one more question for you, then we'll take a tour of the place, if that's all right with you. So do you have a favorite flavor of ice cream? Yeah, I do. Let's see. You know what? If you haven't been to, what's the ice cream place down the street? Penguin Palace.
Yeah. Okay. I would have to say I'm a raspberry cheesecake fan myself, but they have this sundae, which is just freaking evil. It's called the Blackberry Cheesecake Sundae. If you haven't had one of those, go there. It's got pieces of cheesecake on ice cream. You can feel your arteries hardening. It's awesome. Check it out.
All right, next time we're here, we're going to get you one of those.
Awesome.
All right, let's take a tour.
Great.
Here.
This is the control room. All the acoustics in the next 3 rooms were designed by Gavin Haverstick, Indianapolis. Great acoustic designer. Everything's acoustically treated. Very, very flat room. Reflections are optimized. Generally use Pro Tools. Also use Reaper occasionally. Those are my 2 favorite DAWs. Mic pre-rack. Those are the green ones are Hairball Audio Lolas, my favorite one mic pre. And then this is a tube pre, Universal Audio tube pre. And those are all the pre's. Those are the heavy hitters. A couple of ribbon mic pre's because I love ribbon mics. 2 sets of converters. The Antelope Audio Orion is the main recording converters. And then in the output rack over here, there are solid state logic converters, which I use for the outboard gear to keep them separate. I'm a Windows guy. Macs are great. I'm more comfortable on Windows. Doesn't matter which platform you use nowadays, because most DAWs are dual platform except for Logic. And it's easy to throw files back and forth. I work with a lot of people who use Macs, and we can track here and they mix on a Mac there, and there's no problem. It's not an issue anymore. And I'm just more comfortable on Windows, always have been. So monitors, Neumann KH120As. There's a Sonodyne subwoofer, which I don't use a whole lot. I don't like what it does to the bass translation when mixing, but I use it for when a client wants to hear what's going on in the low end. Hip-hop clients like to hear that. So, and then the outboard racks over here, which will always expanding, being a gear hog. Several compressors, solid state. It's a clone of a solid state Logic bus compressor, clone of an LA2A, the Bricasti M7, and then 500 series. I'm heavily invested in the 500 series. I think it's a great thing that manufacturers don't have to put a power supply in the unit. Keeps costs down, and you get a great sound out of those things. So the people are always impressed by the diffusion, the acoustic diffusion on the back wall. It looks really cool. What is that? So sound.
Oh, that is awesome.
Sound diffuses in a certain prescribed way. My acoustician came up with all this stuff. He's a genius. Anybody who needs acoustic work, Gavin Haverstick is the man. He's the best. So that's the control room. Next
All
room.
right.
Next room is the live room. This is a 9-foot Yamaha grand piano with a disc clavier system in it. And then I also have a set of DW drums. I apologize for my mess. We just had a session the other day, so got a bunch of mic stands out in here. But an interesting thing, I do a lot of jazz sessions, and jazz players want to play together for chemistry, but as recording engineers, we want everybody separated. We'd get guitar players to play one string at a time if we could get away with it. But so I have a camera system that people in the various rooms can see and hear each other in real time. It's like they're playing together, but we get the isolation we need. That was that's been a great addition. Jazz guys love it. So.
And I'm looking here too. You've got like a whole bunch of windows and stuff here, so you can actually see into this room what the musicians are doing.
Yeah, visual lines of communication are so important. It's almost more important from the engineer to the artist visually. I'm a big believer that comfort of the musicians is more important than anything. And you can tell how people are feeling about how the session is going by the expression on their face. If they're like, yeah, that sounded great, that's a lot different from, man, that sounded great. So being able to read people psychologically is important as a recording engineer. It's more important than technical. I think I tell, interns and students it's 90% psychological and 10% technical.
All right, and I'm going to take a guess. So the walls are really thick here. How thick do you think these walls are, Carrie? How many inches?
Oh, he's told me. I think it's 18 inches, but I'm not sure.
You think it's 18?
Yes.
I'm going to guess 17 and a half.
What? Price is
You know,
right.
that's a good question. I don't remember exactly how thick they are, but I will tell you what's on each layer. There's on each side of the wall there were framing studs, and then there's what's called resilient channel, which you can look that up. I won't waste the time explaining it. Then there's the first layer of drywall hung on that. Then there's what's called mass-loaded vinyl all over that layer of drywall, and then a second load of drywall on top of that. So you could pretty much set off a bomb in here and you wouldn't hear it outside, and vice versa. I mean, if we're here till 3 in the morning and it'll be thunderstorming and we'll go outside and won't even realize it's been thunderstorming. The floor's floated, really acoustically isolated room, but it isn't too dead. It sounds great. So, and then the last room to check out is the vocal booth. I will let our esteemed cameraman, Mr. Travis Geiman of Bigfoot Studios.
That's Travis right there.
That's Travis right there. Go through into the vocal booth. And this is a 5x7x9 vocal booth that Gavin laid out. It's a great sounding vocal booth, not just for vocals, but also for guitar amps. We do a lot of horn recording in here. Marvin recorded here 2 or 3 times. They do all the saxophone recording in here. And Carrie did all her vocals in here. I mean, guitar amps, vocals, horns. It's a great sounding little room. Air conditioning is silenced as you can make it. So, there's no air conditioning noise coming into the microphones. Unless it's a really, really, really quiet session, like a voiceover or something like that. But if it's music, there's no problem with that. So.
All right, well, let's play a tune.
All right, let me set up my Zen Drum and we'll get busy.
Yay.
All right, so we finished up our studio tour. We've got Eric on the Zen Drum now. It's a drum you play with your hands. It's like what is it?
It's a MIDI controller.
MIDI controller, there you go. Very cool. All right, so here's Long Hair Up. 1, 2, 1, 3, go.
Make that bed, push the door, stop it in. missing too.